The forgotten guardian Sarah wiped the sweat from her face as she carried the heavy cleaning bucket down the dark hallway. Her hands were rough and red from scrubbing floors all day. She was tired, but she could not stop. If she stopped, the other alien servants would report her to the guards. "Move faster, human," shouted Vex, a tall blue alien with sharp teeth. He kicked Sarah's bucket, making dirty water splash on her worn clothes. "You are too slow." Sarah said nothing. She had learned long ago that talking back only made things worse. She was the only human working in Empress Zarath's grand palace. All the other servants were aliens who looked down on her. To them, humans were weak and stupid. The palace was huge and beautiful, with shiny walls made of crystal and gold. But Sarah only saw the parts that needed cleaning. She scrubbed the floors, washed the windows, and cleaned rooms that no one else wanted to touch. Today was different. Today, Empress Zarath had called Sarah to her throne room. The Empress sat on a throne made of black stone. Her skin was pale green and her eyes glowed red in the dark. She wore a crown of silver that twisted like sharp branches. When she looked at Sarah, it felt like ice water running down her back. "Human," the Empress said, her voice cold and sharp. "I have a special job for you." Sarah bowed low. "Yes, Your Majesty." "There is an old statue in the East Wing. No one has cleaned it for many years. You will go there and make it shine like new." The Empress smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "Do not disappoint me." Sarah felt scared. The East Wing was the forbidden part of the palace. No servants were allowed there. Why was the Empress sending her there now? "Your Majesty," Sarah said quietly, "I thought the East Wing was... Are you questioning me?" The Empress's eyes glowed brighter. "No, Your Majesty. I will clean the statue." Sarah walked through the empty halls of the East Wing. It was darker here, and dust covered everything. Spiderwebs hung from the ceiling like old curtains. Her footsteps echoed in the silence. She found the statue at the end of a long room. When she saw it, she stopped and stared. The statue was huge, twice as tall as Sarah. It showed a man in armor holding a sword. But this was not like the alien statues in other parts of the palace. This statue looked human. The man had strong shoulders and a kind face, even though he looked like a warrior. His hair was long and tied back. His armor was detailed and beautiful, with symbols Sarah had never seen before. Thick dust and dirt covered everything, making it hard to see clearly. "Strange," Sarah whispered to herself. "Why is there a human statue in the Empress's palace?" She moved closer and felt something odd. The air around the statue felt different, warmer somehow. Her skin tingled like tiny lightning was dancing around her. Sarah opened her cleaning supplies and started working. She cleaned the base of the statue first, then moved up to the legs and body. As she worked, she began to see how beautiful the statue really was. Every detail was perfect, from the muscles in the arms to the patterns on the armor. Other servants sometimes walked by the room. They would stop and stare at Sarah with mean looks. "Why is the human touching the ancient statue?" whispered one alien servant to another. "She should not be here," said the other. "Humans should not touch things they do not understand." But Sarah kept working. Something about this statue felt important. As she cleaned, she noticed that the stone felt warm under her hands. That was impossible. Stone was always cold. The strangest part was the face. When Sarah cleaned the dust from the statue's eyes, they seemed to watch her. It was silly, she told herself. Statues could not see, but every time she looked up, she felt like those stone eyes were following her movements. Hours passed. Finally, Sarah reached the statue's face. She climbed on a small ladder to reach it properly. The face was strong and handsome, with a short beard and lips that almost seemed to be smiling. "Who were you?" Sarah asked quietly as she gently cleaned the forehead. "You look so real, like you are just sleeping." Her cloth moved over the closed eyes, wiping away centuries of dust. The stone under her fingers felt even warmer now, almost like real skin. Sarah saved the eyes for last. She carefully cleaned around them, being very gentle. As she worked, she felt a strange connection to this statue. It was like he was someone she had known long ago, a friend she had forgotten. Finally, she touched her cloth to the statue's closed eyelids. The moment her fingers made contact, something incredible happened. The stone eyes suddenly glowed bright blue, like stars in the darkness. And then, impossible as it seemed, they blinked. Sarah gasped and nearly fell off her ladder. She stared in shock as the statue's eyes opened wide and looked directly at her. They were not stone anymore. They were alive, filled with intelligence and surprise. The statue was looking at her, really looking at her, and Sarah realized she had just woken something that had been sleeping for a very, very long time. The ancient awakening Sarah stared at the glowing blue eyes. Her heart was beating so fast she could hear it in her ears. The statue's eyes were definitely alive, and they were looking right at her. "This cannot be real," she whispered, taking a step back. But it was real. As Sarah watched in amazement, the statue's chest began to rise and fall like it was breathing. The stone color slowly faded from gray to normal skin. The transformation started from the eyes and spread downward like water flowing over rocks. The statue's lips moved and a deep voice came out. It sounded rusty, like it had not been used for a very long time. Who are you?" the voice asked. Sarah's hands were shaking. She wanted to run, but her legs would not move. I am Sarah. I was cleaning the statue. She stopped talking because nothing made sense anymore. The statue tried to move his arms. Stone cracked and fell to the floor as his muscles became real. He looked down at himself with confusion, then back at Sarah. "Sarah," he repeated slowly, like he was testing how the name sounded. "You have a human name. You know about humans?" Sarah asked, surprised. "Know about humans?" The statue man laughed, but it was a sad sound. "Child, I am human." More stone fell away as he moved his shoulders and neck. Now Sarah could see that he was definitely a real person, not a statue anymore. He was tall and strong, with kind eyes and dark hair. His armor was real too, made of metal that shone like silver. "That's impossible," Sarah said. "Humans cannot turn to stone, and you were here for so long." "Not stone," the man said, flexing his fingers as feeling returned to them. "Sleep. I was sleeping, waiting." He looked directly at Sarah, "Waiting for someone like you to wake me." "Someone like me?" "A human with a pure heart and gentle hands." He smiled at her and Sarah felt less scared. "What is your name again?" "My mind is still cloudy from the long sleep." "Sarah," she said again. "What is your name?" "I am Kyle," he said, standing up straighter. "I was once a guardian of humanity." "A guardian? What does that mean?" Kyle looked around the dusty room, taking in everything. "Where are we?" "What is this place?" "The palace of Empress Zarath," Sarah answered. "She rules the Galactic Empire." Kyle's face became dark and serious. "Galactic Empire? What happened to the Human Federation? Where are my people?" Sarah did not know how to answer. She had never heard of a human federation. "Sir, humans, we are not in charge of anything. We are servants now. The aliens conquered us long ago." "Conquered?" Kyle's voice was filled with pain and anger. "How long was I sleeping?" "I don't know when you went to sleep, but the aliens have ruled for at least 500 years. Maybe more." Kyle sat down heavily on a broken chair. He put his head in his hands. 500 years. My friends, my family, everyone I knew, they are all gone." Sarah felt sorry for him. She had never seen such sadness before. "I'm sorry. I don't know what happened back then. We were never taught about human history." "Of course not," Kyle said bitterly. "The conquerors always erase the history of those they defeat." He looked up at Sarah. "Tell me, child, how do they treat humans now?" Sarah looked down at her rough hands and dirty clothes. "Not well. We do the hard work. We clean, we serve, we stay quiet. If we cause trouble..." She did not finish the sentence. Kyle stood up, his eyes blazing with anger. "They make you slaves." "It's just the way things are," Sarah said quickly. "Please don't be angry. If the gods hear you..." "Gods?" Kyle laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "Child, do you know what I was before I went to sleep?" Sarah shook her head. "I was the strongest warrior in the Human Federation. I could fight 100 enemies and win. I protected entire star systems." His armor began to glow softly. "And I was not the only one. There were others like you. Many others. We were put to sleep in different places, waiting for the right time to return." Kyle looked at his hands, watching the armor glow brighter. "Your touch woke me up, Sarah. Only a human with a pure heart could do that." Suddenly, they heard voices in the hallway. Heavy footsteps were coming closer. The guards, Sarah whispered in panic. They check this wing sometimes. If they find you, what will they do? Kyle asked. They will kill me for waking you, and they will try to destroy you. Kyle smiled, and Sarah saw that he was not afraid at all. Let them try. No, please, Sarah begged. You don't understand. They have weapons, energy blasters that can... Sarah, Kyle said gently, putting his hand on her shoulder. I have slept for centuries while my people suffered. I will not hide now. The footsteps were getting closer. Sarah could hear the guards talking. Did you hear something from the old statue room? Probably just rats. But we should check anyway. Kyle looked at the doorway, then back at Sarah. His expression became serious and determined. You saved me, Sarah. You brought me back to life with your kindness. He squeezed her shoulder gently. I will remember this forever. What are you going to do? Kale's armor glowed brighter, and Sarah could feel power radiating from him like heat from a fire. I am going to remind this empire that humans are not meant to be slaves, he said quietly. And then I am going to wake up my brothers and sisters who still sleep. The guard voices were right outside the door now. Kale looked at Sarah one last time and smiled. Stay behind me, child, and do not be afraid. Soon everything will change. The door burst open, and 3 alien guards rushed in with their weapons ready. They stopped dead when they saw Kale standing there in his glowing armor. No longer a statue, but a living, breathing human warrior. And in that moment, Sarah realized that her simple act of cleaning a dusty statue had just changed the entire galaxy forever. The hidden truth. The 3 alien guards stood frozen in the doorway. Their weapons were pointed at Kale, but their hands were shaking. They had never seen anything like this before, a human standing tall and strong, with armor that glowed like starlight. What is this? Stammered the first guard, a green-skinned alien with 4 arms. Kyle stepped forward, his armor humming with power. I am what your empire tried to forget. The guards raised their weapons, but before they could fire, Kyle moved faster than Sarah thought possible. In one smooth motion, he grabbed their energy blasters and crushed them like paper. The guards stumbled backward in fear. Run, Kyle said quietly. Tell your Empress that the old times are ending. The guards did not need to be told twice. They turned and ran down the hallway, shouting for help. Sarah stared at Kale in amazement. How did you move so fast? This is nothing compared to what I could do before, Kyle said sadly. I need time to remember all my strength. He looked around the room. But first I need to understand what happened to my people. There might be records somewhere, Sarah said. But they don't let humans read the history books. Kale smiled. Then we will have to find the books they don't want you to read. For the next 2 days, Sarah continued her normal work during the day. But at night she met Kale in secret places around the palace. He had learned to move through the shadows like a ghost. No one could see him unless he wanted them to. The palace is built on top of something much older, Kyle told Sarah on the second night. They were hiding in an unused storage room. I can feel it. There are chambers beneath us that the aliens never found. How do you know? Because I helped design this place long ago. Before it was their palace, it was a human research center. Sarah gasped. This was a human building? One of many. We built cities on 1,000 worlds, Sarah. We explored the furthest stars and made friends with peaceful aliens. We were teachers, healers, explorers. Kyle's eyes grew distant. We were never conquerors. That night, Kyle showed Sarah a hidden entrance behind a loose stone in the basement. They crawled through dusty tunnels until they reached a large underground chamber. When Kale touched the wall, lights came on automatically. Sarah gasped at what she saw. The room was filled with amazing machines and computers that still worked after all these years. The walls were covered with pictures and writing in a language Sarah had never seen before. This is human writing, Kyle explained. Your true language from before they forced you to speak only their words. Sarah walked around the room in wonder. There were pictures of humans doing incredible things, flying through space, building huge cities, working alongside friendly aliens who looked happy to be with them. We were really like this? Sarah asked. touching one picture that showed humans and aliens working together to build a beautiful garden world. Better than this, Kale said. These pictures don't show the half of it. He activated one of the old computers. Information filled the screen, star maps, scientific discoveries, records of human achievements that seemed impossible. Your people created technology that could heal any sickness, Kyle explained as Sarah watched in amazement. We built ships that could travel between galaxies. We discovered how to make dead planets bloom with life. Then how did the aliens defeat us? Kyle's face became dark. Because we were too trusting. We welcomed everyone as friends. We shared our knowledge freely. We never thought that some beings would use our gifts to destroy us. The computer showed battle records from the Great War. Sarah read about humans trying to make peace, even as the alien empire attacked their worlds. We could have won, Kyle said quietly. Our technology was better, our warriors were stronger, but we spent too much time trying to save our enemies instead of stopping them. Sarah found another section of records that made her heart race. Kale, look at this. The screen showed a map of the galaxy with glowing dots scattered across it. There were hundreds of them. Guardian sleep sites, Sarah read aloud. What does this mean? Kyle studied the map carefully. It means I was not the only one. When we realized we might lose the war, our greatest warriors volunteered to go into deep sleep. We hid ourselves across the galaxy waiting for the right time to return. But why didn't you wake up before now? Because we needed the right key. Kale touched Sarah's hand gently. A human with a pure heart and the ancient bloodline. Someone who could wake us with just a touch. Sarah looked at her own hands. Me, but I'm nobody special. I'm just a servant. You are far more than that, Kyle said. Your ancestors were among the greatest humans who ever lived. The aliens tried to break your people's spirit, but they couldn't destroy your bloodline. Suddenly alarms began ringing throughout the palace. Red lights flashed in the underground chamber. They found the entrance, Kyle said, listening to the sounds above. Someone saw us come down here. Heavy footsteps echoed in the tunnels. Voices shouted orders in the alien language. What do we do? Sarah asked, scared. Kyle walked to another computer and began typing quickly. I'm sending a signal to the other Guardian sites. If touching me started your awakening power, then being near our technology should make it stronger. The computer screen showed messages being sent to distant stars. One by one, responses started coming back. Guardian Site 7 signal received, beginning awakening process. Guardian Site 23, signal received, awakening confirmed. Guardian Site 45, signal received, Guardian online. More and more messages appeared on the screen. Across the galaxy, ancient human warriors were waking up from their long sleep. It's working, Kale said with satisfaction. My brothers and sisters are returning. The footsteps in the tunnel were getting closer. Sarah could hear the guards talking. The human girl led us right to them. Seal all exits. Don't let them escape. Kale looked at Sarah with pride in his eyes. Do you understand what you've done, child? Sarah shook her head. You didn't just wake me up, Kale said as his armor began glowing brighter than ever before. You woke up hope itself. You started the return of humanity to the stars. The first guards appeared at the entrance to the chamber, energy weapons ready. Kyle stood in front of Sarah, protecting her. His armor was now blazing with light that hurt to look at. And now, he said loudly enough for the guards to hear, it's time to remind this empire that humans bow to no one. The palace alarms grew louder, and Sarah realized they were no longer just warning about two people in the basement. They were warning about something much, much bigger. All across the galaxy, the ancient Guardians were waking up, and they were not happy about what they found. The Guardians returned. 20 armed guards rushed into the underground chamber, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. Behind them came Captain Zorth, the Empress's most feared commander. His red eyes burned with anger as he saw Kale standing protectively in front of Sarah. So the rumors are true, Captain Zorth hissed. The human girl woke up some kind of ancient weapon. I am no weapon, Kyle said calmly. I am a guardian of humanity. Captain Zorth laughed coldly. Guardian, look around you, human. Your people are servants and slaves. There is nothing left to guard. That, Kyle said, his armor blazing brighter, is about to change. The captain raised his hand and the guards aimed their weapons. Kill them both. Energy blasts filled the chamber with deadly light, but Kyle moved like lightning. His glowing armor absorbed the energy shots like they were raindrops. He leaped forward, moving faster than the aliens could follow. Sarah watched in amazement as Kyle fought 20 guards at once. He moved like a dancer, but every movement was deadly. He did not kill the guards, but he made sure they could not fight anymore. In less than a minute, all 20 guards were on the ground, groaning in pain. Captain Zorth backed away in fear. Impossible. No human can move that fast. You have forgotten what humans can do, Kale said, walking toward him slowly. But you are about to remember. The captain pressed a button on his wrist communicator. Emergency! Emergency! Send all forces to the underground chamber. The humans are... Kyle grabbed the communicator and crushed it. Too late for that. Above them they could hear chaos spreading through the palace. Alarms were screaming, and heavy footsteps ran in all directions. Voices shouted in panic, "What is happening up there?" Sarah asked. Kyle smiled. "Listen carefully." Sarah focused on the sounds from above. Between the alarms and shouting, she heard something that made her heart jump with hope. There were human voices calling out, not in fear but in joy and excitement. "The other human servants," Sarah whispered. "They're not hiding anymore." "The signal I sent did more than wake up the sleeping guardians," Kyle explained. "It also awakened something in every human in the galaxy. They remember now what they truly are." Captain Zorth tried to crawl toward the exit, but Kyle stepped in front of him. "You will take us to your Empress," Kyle said. "It was not a request. Never." The captain snarled. "I would rather die." "Then you misunderstand," Kyle said quietly. "I am not asking." The captain looked into Kyle's glowing eyes and saw something that terrified him. This was not just a strong human. This was a being of incredible power who had been holding back his true strength. "Please," the captain whispered. "Don't hurt me." "I don't want to hurt anyone," Kyle said. "But I will protect my people. Now take us to the throne room." As they moved through the palace corridors, Sarah could not believe what she saw. Human servants everywhere had stopped working. They stood tall and proud, no longer afraid of the alien guards. Some of them were even arguing with their alien overseers. "How is this possible?" Sarah asked. "The sleeping signal was in every human's blood," Kyle explained as they walked. "When I woke up, it sent a message to every human in the galaxy. You all remembered that you are not meant to be slaves." They passed a group of human servants who were refusing to clean the floors. The alien supervisor was shouting at them, but they just stood there with calm dignity. "We will not serve you anymore," one of them said quietly. "We remember who we are now." Sarah felt something changing inside her too. The fear that had lived in her heart for so long was disappearing. She felt strong. They reached the throne room, where Empress Zareth waited with 50 of her best guards. She sat on her black stone throne, but Sarah could see fear in her glowing red eyes. "So," the Empress said, trying to sound calm, "the stories of ancient human warriors were true after all." "More true than you know," Kyle replied. He stepped forward, and his armor blazed with such bright light that some guards had to look away. "I am Kale, guardian of the Third Fleet, protector of the outer colonies, and defender of the innocent." The Empress gripped her throne tighter. "What do you want?" "Justice," Kyle said simply. "Freedom for all humans. An end to slavery. Impossible," the Empress snapped. "Humans are weak. They need to be controlled." Kyle smiled sadly. "Is that what you tell yourself to feel better about what you've done?" Suddenly, the throne room doors burst open. More humans poured in, not servants anymore, but people standing proud and tall. Behind them came someone that made Sarah gasp. It was another guardian. This one was a human woman, tall and beautiful, wearing armor that sparkled like diamonds. Her hair was white as snow, and her eyes glowed with the same blue light as Kale's. "Sister," Kale called out with joy. "Brother," she replied, smiling. "I am Guardian Lyra of the Fourth Fleet. The signal reached me on the moon of Zarion. I came as fast as I could. 2 of them." The Empress whispered in terror. The doors opened again. Another guardian entered, a huge man with a beard and armor like golden fire. Then another, a young woman with silver hair and armor that looked like liquid metal. More and more guardians filled the throne room. Each one was different, but all of them blazed with the same incredible power. Sarah counted them, 10, 15, 20 ancient human warriors, all awake and ready to fight for their people. The alien guards looked around nervously. Even with their weapons, they knew they could not fight so many powerful enemies. Impossible, the Empress breathed. We destroyed all records of you. We made sure no one remembered. You can erase books, Kyle said. You can burn libraries. But you cannot destroy the truth that lives in every human heart. Guardian Lyra stepped forward. We offer you one chance, Empress. Free all human slaves across your empire. Treat them as equals. Work with them instead of controlling them. And if I refuse? The Empress asked. The 20 guardians all began glowing brighter. The power in the room was so strong that Sarah could feel it in her bones. Then we will free them ourselves, Kyle said quietly, and you will not like how we do it. The Empress looked around at her guards, then at the growing crowd of humans behind the guardians. More and more humans were coming into the throne room, servants, workers, and maintenance staff who were no longer afraid. Sarah stepped forward. She was still scared, but she felt stronger than ever before. Your Majesty, she said, her voice clear and strong. My name is Sarah. You ordered me to clean a statue, but instead I woke up hope. The Empress stared at her, the small human girl who had started this whole revolution. You have a choice, Sarah continued. You can learn to live with free humans as your neighbors, or you can fight 20 ancient warriors who have been sleeping for 500 years, waiting for this moment. The Empress looked at Kyle, then at the other guardians, then at the crowd of humans who no longer bowed their heads in fear. For the first time in 500 years, she realized that her empire was no longer in control. What? She said slowly. What do you want from me? Kale stepped forward, his armor shining like the sun. We want you to remember what humans tried to teach the galaxy long ago, he said, that all beings deserve to be free. The new dawn. The throne room was silent as Empress Zareth stared at the 20 guardians surrounding her. Their armor blazed with ancient power, and behind them stood hundreds of humans who were no longer afraid. The air itself seemed to buzz with energy and hope. Sarah watched the Empress's face change as reports came flooding in from across the galaxy. A guard rushed in with a communication device, his hands shaking. Your Majesty, he whispered urgently. We're getting emergency calls from every planet in the Empire. Humans everywhere have stopped working. They're standing up to us. Another guard ran in. Majesty, the Guardian awakening signals have reached the outer rim. Ancient human warriors are waking up on planets we thought were empty. The communication device crackled with desperate voices from alien commanders across the galaxy. This is Commander Thex from Planet Zephyr. The humans here are no longer obeying orders. Planet Arcturus reporting. 3 more ancient human warriors just awakened. They're glowing like stars. Help us. The humans on Titan Colony are building something with their old technology. Empress Zareth closed her eyes and took a deep breath. When she opened them again, Sarah could see that the fight had gone out of her. You win, the Empress said quietly. I cannot fight the entire galaxy. This was never about winning or losing, Kyle said gently. This was about remembering what we all forgot. Guardian Lyra stepped forward, her diamond armor sparkling. We don't want to destroy your empire, Empress. We want to make it better. How? The Empress asked, looking confused. Guardian Marcus, the big man with golden armor, spoke in a deep, kind voice. The same way we built our civilization before, together. Sarah felt brave enough to step closer to the throne. Your Majesty, you've been ruling through fear for so long. But humans, we're better when we're free. We can help you build something amazing. The Empress looked at Sarah for a long moment. You really believe that, don't you? Even after everything we did to your people? Yes, Sarah said without hesitation. Because that's who humans are. We forgive, we hope. We build instead of destroy. Kyle nodded proudly at Sarah, then addressed the Empress. We propose a new kind of empire. One where all races work together as equals. Humans will share their knowledge and skills freely, just like we did before. And in return? The Empress asked. In return, you help us rebuild the human colonies that were destroyed, Guardian Lyra said. You allow humans to govern themselves on their own worlds, and you promise that never again will any race be treated as slaves. The Empress was quiet for a long time, thinking. Finally, she stood up from her throne and walked down to face Kyle directly. I accept your terms, she said. But I have one condition. What condition? Kyle asked. I want her, the Empress pointed at Sarah, to be the first human ambassador. She will represent your people in my government. Sarah's eyes went wide. Me? But I'm just a... You are the one who started this revolution, the Empress said with a small smile. You woke up hope itself. If anyone can help our peoples work together, it's you. 3 months later, Sarah stood on the balcony of her new office in the palace. But everything was different now. The palace was no longer dark and cold. Human engineers had installed windows that let in natural light. Gardens grew where there used to be empty stone courtyards. The building felt alive and welcoming. She wore beautiful clothes now instead of servant rags, but more importantly, she wore them with pride. She was Ambassador Sarah, representative of all free humans in the galaxy. Kyle joined her on the balcony, still wearing his guardian armor but looking more relaxed than before. The news from the colonies is good, he reported. 50 human worlds have been rebuilt in just 3 months. The ancient technology we hid is working perfectly. And the aliens? Sarah asked. Many of them are excited to learn from us again. Kyle smiled. The young ones especially. They want to understand human science and philosophy. Sarah looked out at the city below. She could see humans and aliens working together on construction projects. Children of both species played in the same parks. Markets sold goods from human worlds alongside alien products. It's like a dream, Sarah said softly. It's better than a dream, Kyle replied. It's what we always knew was possible. A communication device on Sarah's desk chimed softly. She activated it, and the face of Guardian Lyra appeared on the screen. Sarah, the Galactic Council meeting is about to start, Lyra said. Are you ready? Sarah nodded. I'm ready. The screen split to show Guardians and human leaders from across the galaxy, along with alien representatives who had chosen to join the new alliance. Fellow beings, Sarah said, addressing the council with confidence she never knew she had. Today we celebrate the 3rd month of the new Galactic Alliance. Humans have returned to 50 worlds. Trade agreements have been signed with 30 alien species. And most importantly, not a single being in our territory lives as a slave. Cheers came through the communication device from across the galaxy. But we must remember, Sarah continued, this is just the beginning. We have a whole galaxy to heal. There are still worlds where beings suffer under cruel rulers. Our job is not finished. Guardian Marcus appeared on screen from his location near the outer rim. The Guardian cause is ready. Ambassador Sarah, we have 200 awakened warriors now and more wake up every day. We will protect the innocent wherever they are found. And human colonies are volunteering to help refugees from oppressive worlds, added another voice from the council. Sarah felt tears of joy in her eyes. This was everything her people had dreamed of for 500 years. After the meeting ended, Sarah walked back to her private quarters. She paused at a mirror in the hallway, looking at her reflection. She remembered the scared servant girl who had been ordered to clean an old statue just 3 months ago. You've changed, child, came a familiar voice. Sarah turned to see Kale approaching with someone new, an elderly human woman with silver hair and kind eyes. Sarah, Kale said warmly, I want you to meet someone special. This is Dr. Elena Vasquez, one of our greatest historians. She was sleeping in a Guardian site on Earth's moon. Earth? Sarah gasped. Our home world? Yes, Dr. Vasquez smiled. And it's beautiful again. The alien caretakers there kept it safe for us, hoping we would return someday. The first human families arrived there last week. I can go home, Sarah whispered. We all can go home. If you want to, Kyle said. But remember, Sarah, you are home wherever you choose to be. And the galaxy needs leaders like you. Sarah looked out the window again, watching humans and aliens work together in the evening light. She thought about her small cleaning bucket and the dusty statue that had changed everything. I think, she said slowly, I want to stay here for now. There's still so much work to do. Dr. Vasquez handed Sarah an old book with human writing on the cover. This is a gift for you. It's the true history of humanity, the one they tried to erase. Sarah opened the book carefully. On the first page was a picture of humans and aliens working together to build a beautiful city among the stars. The caption read, "The First Galactic Alliance, where all beings live free." "We're rebuilding it," Sarah said, understanding the significance. "We're making the old dream real again." "Yes," Kyle said, putting his hand on her shoulder. "And it all started because a kind servant girl was brave enough to be gentle with a dusty old statue." That night, Sarah stood alone on her balcony, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, human families were settling into homes on worlds they had not seen for centuries. Guardian warriors protected the innocent on distant planets. Former slaves of all species were learning to be free. She thought about the scared girl she used to be, always looking down, always afraid. Now she looked up at the infinite sky, full of hope and possibility. "Thank you," she whispered to the stars, knowing that somewhere among them, her ancestors were watching and smiling. The galaxy was healing. Humans were free, and the greatest adventure of all was just beginning. In the distance, she could hear children laughing as they played in the palace gardens. Human children and alien children together, growing up in a world where friendship was normal and freedom was a promise kept. Sarah smiled and went inside to prepare for tomorrow's work. There were new worlds to liberate, new friendships to build, and new dreams to make real. The age of fear was over. The age of hope had begun, and it all started with a simple act of kindness from a servant girl who refused to believe that humans were meant to live in chains.